In this video, I'm going to give a crash course in what WordPress is. This will not be exhaustive. This is going to be a high-level overview of a software product that I've been using since 2006, and it is constantly evolving. What you're going to see, there's going to be some details in here that'll be different a month from now because WordPress will have little incremental updates. But through this, I hope you will know what you don't know and know how to Google more effectively about this awesome tool, and that you'll be able to build with it effectively. Okay, first thing I'm going to do, here I am in my browser, and actually I'm using Arc browser. That's not important, but this browser lets me do a little split view. Here I am showing you the difference between two different worlds that have the same name. On the left, I have WordPress.com, and on the right, I have WordPress.org. These are, they look the same or must seem the same intuitively, but they're actually quite different things. WordPress.com is a software as a service that you can subscribe to, and you can host a website without ever having to do anything but log in and pay. Maybe they have free accounts, I'm not sure. But here you would host your website or your blog on WordPress.com. They do have VIP here. I know BlackBerry used to host their blog here when I developed it about 10 years ago. And basically it's just a turnkey solution. You don't need to know how to set up anything, and it just works. So you sign in, you can pick a theme, pick your plugins. All the stuff that I'm going to talk about is essentially the same. There are some plugins that will not work on .com. It's effectively the world's largest multi-site, and the people that make WordPress make this. This is probably one of the ways that they make the most money. But then shockingly, they also just offer the software for free, and that's what WordPress.org is. Here, I can just click Get WordPress and just download it. And it's downloading now, no questions asked, no accounts needed. They have recommended hosts, guides, stuff like that. WordPress.org is mostly what we are talking about today. I'm not going to be talking about .com exclusively, but some of the stuff does cross over. Now, this is not a site that I don't know if I've seen the homepage in a very long time, but yeah, I guess they have news. Let's showcase. Sites built in WordPress. Hosting, Extend. Okay, Extend is where I've spent some time. And Learn, I've ended up in the documentation. Forums is really powerful. This is that thing I was saying in my introduction video. You can come here, ask a question, and there are people that will answer. Automatic pays people. I think they're, I don't know if this is still true, but they used to have happiness engineers, which were people that would just help people get, they would help you get unstuck. Yeah, I'm not sure what all this is. It's been a while. Anyway, you will want to check out themes. Here's one for Elementor. That's a page builder. We're going to be looking at one of its competitors today. We might also see a little bit of 2024, which is the one that ships with WordPress today. Last year it was 2023. You can see the pattern there. Astra is another page builder. So I guess these might be sorted by popular. So it's the 20 series of automatic themes, and then various page builders. That tells us something. Okay, and then you'll also want to check out plugins possibly. Now here's just a beautiful collection of free software that you can use to extend the functionality of the site. Out of the box, WordPress doesn't have a contact form, for example. And so let's find one, contact form. And I'll hit enter. What's going to come up? Contact form 7. I was hoping we'd see that one first. It's pretty good, and it's free. Now we also see WP forms here, and you can see these are installed millions of times. One thing that's funny is they will have very few ratings for the number of times they're used. They don't have they're not aggressive about asking you to rate these things, which is good from your perspective, but you wish everyone else had rated them probably. WP Forms, I believe, is a software it's freemium. So they will have some free stuff you can do. I don't think I've installed this one before, but I believe I've worked on sites that have it. They also have paid features. Yeah, so they'll have some kind of pro thing. My advice to you is to seek out the excellent paid plugins. In the free open source world like WordPress, there's a lot of free stuff, and there is a huge gamut of how good this stuff can be. And in that sort of race to the bottom mentality, even the paid stuff is not that expensive. Often it's just like $100 a year will just sort of be like a developer license thing. So I can't remember what I pay for Gravity Forms, but I pay for developer license and I install it on every site that I work on. And it's very fair and worth it to me. And I want those developers to get paid. I want them to install security fixes. And in this ever-changing platform, you need that. You need to have the security fixes getting pushed out. And one of the biggest cons of WordPress being such a big platform, so used on the internet, is that it's also the biggest target on the internet. So if you could find something to exploit in WordPress, you could create a bot to attack all the websites, right? Well, it's a scary big target where there are people just looking for ways to do that, possibly for sport, possibly with genuinely nefarious intent. But it's also what makes WordPress so strong. Like, it has been put through the ringer, and the greatest minds in hacking are working on it. Whereas a less mature system, it hasn't been as battle tested, and some of those vulnerabilities are just probably just sitting there, juicy and ready. Whereas WordPress, it's got the scar tissue that earns my trust, and I know it gets the updates pretty quickly. That's plugins. So with themes and plugins, as we talk about security, you are borrowing somebody else's code and you're putting it on your server. That's why I really don't mind paying for this stuff. Patterns and blocks are, I believe, a fairly new thing this year. I'm not going to get into this right now because Live Canvas has this sort of stuff. Openverse? What is this? You can hire people. Okay, I'm not that familiar with WordPress.com. I've just been building with this stuff for a while, and yeah, it's pretty awesome community. Here I am in the background, or the back end of my family dental test site that I'm going to be building on for these videos that we do together. As I just closed there's a big pop-up about, it was like a welcome tour thing, and in the local WP video, I just reflexively closed that. But this is out of the box, just blank WordPress. This is what it comes with. They've got news and events. I can make a quick draft, see some stuff at a glance, and see some recent activity. Now, if you are working with a group of authors, maybe you're co-authoring a blog together, maybe you want to see some of this stuff. And I honestly never have. So I take great pride and pleasure in resizing this stuff, moving it all around. And I like it to just feel tidy when I come in here. When you install other plugins, they will have the option of having little widgety things here. Solid backups is going to be one. It'll tell you how many changes there have been since your last backup. Gravity Forms makes one, and it shows you at a glance how many form submissions since the last time you were in here. That stuff's super helpful. Site health status. I like to keep this one unfurled. It'll tell me like if there's any glaring issues. Usually it's something like you have an uninstall or a plugin that's not activated. Maybe don't have code you're not using sitting on the server, or it'll tell you updates, which is also going to show up here. So that's a little redundant, but it's a great at a glance thing about things you can do to improve your site. And it changes. I had to satisfy some felt need there for its health last month that just would not have been an issue when I set the site up. It was something to do with the comments in their settings. So while we're talking about that, let's go there. This is where all the main settings are for the site. So there's general stuff like your URL. You mess with this, you're going to get yourself logged out and get into a redirect loop, and you'll need to edit the database. Yeah, so there's some basic settings here. For reading, this is like categorizing, like setting some defaults for your posts. You could publish via email. I've done that one time out of hundreds of these websites. Reading has some settings for setting your front page. By default, it's going to be a list of your blog posts. But you could just set it to be like home would be a static page and your posts would be on a different page. And for those feeds, like your search results or blog posts, do you want to show the full thing or the excerpt? That's where you set this. This setting is also often found in appearance and then customized depending what theme you have. So yeah, these things can be inconsistent. Discussion is where comments go. I wish that there was just one checkbox here. Do you want comments at all, just on or off? But to sort of disable it, there's a whole bunch of options. Or if we're using PicoStrap and Live Canvas, which we'll be looking at in a future video, there is a checkbox for that. So that's, again, in appearance, customize, which we're not seeing. And here we can set some media defaults. When you upload an image to your blog post, it's going to create thumbnails of various sizes and organize those into folders. Permalinks is where we're going to set our URL structure. And then finally, privacy policy. This is also new in the last couple of years as a response to the GDPR laws of 2018. We're going to go in weird order here, but we're looking at tools now. Ones that you'll probably use if you're getting into developing a bit or working on multiple WordPresses is import export. And that's where you can import some WordPress posts from somewhere else, or you can export. Here I'm seeing posts, pages, and media. Those are the three types that are currently installed on this website. Yeah, so I guess to just briefly mention what that means, posts and pages are semantically different kinds of content. So think about if you had a news website, a page might be something like about us, but your posts would be the actual news content. I like to think of it as like pages are the content that rarely changes. Contact us, about, or the team, maybe your homepage. Whereas posts are more ephemeral, news, sports, if it was news, like a newspaper site. So you got your news, your updates, maybe portfolio, case studies, things that aren't as set in stone. Your mileage may vary. You can use them however you want. You can also create custom post types. So portfolio might be its own. If you had a church website, it might be sermons. If you had a movie gallery, you might have like movies as its own type or some kind of thing like that. And so with those custom post types, you can have custom taxonomies, not just tags, categories. You can get to sermon series. You could have movie genre, things of this nature. Yeah, I'm getting in the weeds. Okay, site health is again here. Personal data, that's again a GDPR thing. And then we have theme file editor, plugin file editor. I'm familiar with those being under appearance. Oh, anyway, these are I don't know that I've read those things before. It's the kind of subtle change that might be different in WordPress version 6.5.4. Oh, maybe that'll make it easier for you to see. I'll zoom it in. Users. Here we have a list of the users on the website. I am a full-blown administrator, and yeah, there are different types. So let's create a user right now. Test user. You need to have an email. You need to have a username, and you don't need to have anything else. You want a very strong password because, like I say, there are bots hunting for your website, and you could send an email or not. On local WP, it's not going to send the email. Then by default, there are 5 user roles that you can have: subscriber, contributor, author, editor, administrator. There are other plugins that will add other roles and be able to change their capabilities. So what I'm going to talk about here is just the defaults. Maybe an example of a custom one. If you installed WooCommerce to make an e-commerce website, like a store website, actually, I believe that uses subscriber by default. Sometimes a thing like that might make, customer or, student. These are other roles you might see. Okay, so by default, a subscriber is only a reader or can subscribe to your content. You might have a login wall as an example. Only if you're subscribed can you see this. A contributor is able to contribute content in some way, but not able to publish anything. Some of these details I might get a little slightly wrong, but I'm giving you the gist, not the facts here. Take it that way. An author can create content and publish it on their own, and they can only edit their own content. An editor can do all of those things as well, create their own content, publish it, but also edit the content of anyone else. So can write and publish anybody's stuff, and then administrator gets access to absolutely everything. There are plugins like I've used Adminimize. or maybe it was Adminizer. There's one called Branda. You can sort of customize what these different roles can see. If we install a contact form, who is going to be able to see the submissions that are put into there? Maybe it's just admin. Maybe you want editors as well, something like that. So I'm going to hit, test it. I'm going to add an email address. I'm going to type it perfectly and submit that, not save it. If I go to edit the user, I can change their color of their sidebar. And there's a bunch of other options in here. WordFence is a security plugin that adds two-factor authentication. Like once that's installed, it's down in here that you can set your two-factor or get like the new, the QR code. It randomly generates the 6 digits. That can all be sort of set in here. So this is, I don't believe it's a post type in the database sense of it, but yeah, it's a user itself and it goes into a table. It is interesting that pages, posts, and your custom post types all in the database end up in the posts table, which is kind of interesting. I'm going to say plugins for last, and we'll do appearance later too. Here's where comments go. In my experience, it's going to be mostly spam. I'm going to just trash that one. And yeah, basically, if you had a really healthy, community on your website, writing comments and stuff like this is where you could come manage those. Some people will use a third-party plugin system like Discuss, which will do some kind of authentication. Yeah, your mileage may vary. Very few of my sites use that stuff. Here's pages. So yeah, I'm going to delete my sample page and let's just create a new one. Welcome to the block editor. Here's a tour you're going to have to look at every time. So I'm going to write, oh boy, choose a pattern. Oh, is this patterns? Oh, it's like starting points. Okay, and then blocks must be within that. Okay, we'll just pick one of these. I'll just call this one home. And we'll just edit what they have here. Oh, there's about us. They're optimistic we're going to have a link. I'm going to just scroll down, give you a taste of Gutenberg. So I just clicked below this sample content. I click on this plus, and now there's stuff that I can insert. So I'm just going to type call for columns and click on that. And I'm given options here. I hope my picture in picture is not in the way. Probably is. Forgive me. Yeah, I'm going to pick 2 columns. And in this column, I'm going to put a paragraph. I have a shortcut that'll give me some lorem ipsum. And then in this, like, it drives me nuts. This is like invisible, but I'm just going to click in there and just like through some kind of experience or intuition, knew that was there. Media library. Do I have any media? It gave me that awesome picture, but anyway, maybe we'll have no media. Yeah, so this is the WYSIWYG editor that comes with WordPress, and it's called Gutenberg. Sometimes I will still install a classic editor and not put up with some of this. Just fully transparent, I've been building WordPress since before Gutenberg, and so I just never fully made the jump. Whenever I build with it, sometimes I'm pleasantly delighted. There's details in here, like I can see this cool tree of here's everything that I'm inserting. Sometimes that's handy. Sometimes I find it a little weird to this paradigm over here where there's a block that I'm editing, but I can also edit the page. Sometimes this featured image doesn't show up. And the other thing that drives me a little nuts, this is just my personal thing. I don't like full screen mode. I just feel like I need that context to be in the back end. Those are my own little weird quirks. But I'm just going to publish this now. It's going to be public. And that's Gutenberg. I mean, you could figure this out. This is intuitive. I think if this is the only way you could do WordPress, I think it would still be a very popular platform. Yeah, it's simple. It's intuitive. Oh, what if I want to change the page template? Hey, it's right here. What if I want to change the URL? I feel like most people would have that sort of intuition, like, oh, I want to do a thing, and you sort of have that feel of where this stuff goes. It's a lot like email or Facebook or any of those other kind of web-based applications that we have to manage. So it's intuitive, it's quirky, it gets updates and changes, and yeah, you're going to love a lot about it, and you're going to find some parts annoying. Yeah, so yeah, that's probably as deep as we need to go on there. Media library is where all your images will go. So if I had inserted an image there, it would now appear here in this area. And then here we have posts, which is it's going to have a lot of that same experience. Bloggy. I'm just going to type some Lorem Ipsum in here, and I'll insert one of my columns there. Yeah, it's not so bad. Oh, let's do paragraph. There you go. And yeah, we could set an image or what have you. You'll notice it's a little different over here. I could set categories, tags. There are some, that taxonomies that aren't by default on pages. And yeah, and template, single posts. Yeah, some of that I've not played with. Going to turn off comments and pingbacks, whatever that is. Excerpt is kind of a cool thing. If you had a blog listing page, like all recent posts or search results page, you can actually have a different excerpt here that otherwise it'll just take like the first 20 words or so. Yeah, I'm just going to publish that post. That's great. Okay, so that's just the sort of the default content curating experience in WordPress. Now let's go to appearance. Now, WordPress has started doing something a little different for customizing a theme, just starting with 2024. I'm going to activate an older theme, see if that gives us the traditional experience. It does not. So in these 2021s, when I want to customize it, it brings me into this other area where I could start, changing these styles. And again, this is pretty intuitive. You could get by on this. How do I get out of it? Okay, so in the interest of giving you just a bit of a foretaste of what I'm going to show in live Canvas, I've installed 2016. And to do that, I just hit Add New Theme. I searched for one of these. I hit Install. It just downloads it automatically. So when I activate 2016, you can see a whole bunch of stuff appeared over here in this appearance menu that was not available on the 2024 theme. And why I think that's notable is that the themes themselves is not just the overarching look of the site, but within functions.php and some of the other files of that child theme, there are some functions that are executed that are going to change the sort of back end over here. It tends to be predictable, but there are quirks and features to every one of these. It's just a little different than the last. And so, yeah, we're going to take a look at customize in a second. Patterns, again, I haven't really played with that. I think it's fairly new, like in the last month or 6 weeks. The last thing I'll say, as being a part of the open source sort of community and world, when WordPress gives you these 20 themes, they are open source. You can download that and you can change it. The thing that is critical is that you want to make it your own. You're going to rename that folder. You're going to go into styles.css and you're going to change its name. You're going to, change these theme details, because if you do not, and you make changes to it, and then one day there's an update and you click update, you lose all those changes. So if you're going to make a theme, do it right, go all in. Okay, let's dive into customize here. Some of this stuff is the same on every customizer I've ever done. Additional CSS is a thing where you could put in your CSS like thing, and it's going to be like this, and you're going to have color red, or your hex or whatever. So now when I publish this, some new CSS has gone to every page of the site. Pretty cool. Site identity is on every one of these. There's your name, there's your logo, your site icon. That's the favicon. It appears in your tab. And some of the rest of these, maybe homepage settings on every one, but many of these other little tabs that you can go into to change your colors, that is a feature that is only on this plugin, or maybe to say it more accurate way, is not available on every single theme. I used the word plugin when I meant theme there. So this theme allows you to change the header image, I guess, of the whole site, background image of the whole site. Menus is probably on others. Not all of these themes have widget areas. So this one has a sidebar widget area, and there you could show like recent posts, recent comments, categories, whatever. Yeah, and then there's homepage settings. Again, you could set the where your blog is. Is it on its own page or is it the front page? Yeah, so that is theme customization. And again, it takes you out of that sidebar thing. It's kind of jarring. I love this mobile thing. Oh, that's cool. Oh, hide controls, show controls. Cool. So that's your themes. Now let's look at menus really quickly. By default, you can, on themes and websites, create menus here. And so like I'll add home to the thing here. If we had other pages, about, contact, stuff like that, you could see those here. I'm going to add this post to the menu. So if I publish this site, there's going to be two things in the navigation, home and bloggy. But I could also make bloggy a sub item. So if you had about, underneath it, you could have like team, contact, stuff like that. And most of your themes are going to do that perfectly. So yeah, that's menus. And you might have a different one in the header, footer. You might have different languages. You can just create those right here. You can make a social menu, social links menu. And if your theme has that as a region in the footer or what have you, it'll show up there. Yeah, so I'll hit save to that menu, sure. And this plugin seems to have options for header. Sorry, I said plugin, I meant theme. Yeah, theme file editor comes with a big bold heads up. They're telling you not to do, well, they're trying to discourage you from doing this. In a pinch, you might need to use this. This is that slippery slope where if I edit anything here and then next week click update, anything I've done is gone. But in a pinch, it beats FTPing if you have your own custom theme. Sure, I won't judge that. Okay, next and finally for this little video, we're going to look at plugins. A plugin extends the functionality of your site. So I'll hit add one. They're sorted by featured. Here's Classic Editor to not deal with Gutenberg. That's a thing that I have done at various times. Jetpack is an interesting one. It's made by Automatic, the makers of WordPress and the 2024 theme. So within there, there's a little bit of everything, backups and security and caching and all sorts of cool, interesting stuff. Akismet is also made by them. It helps to prevent spam comments. Yeah. Now let's install one. I'm gonna do Yoast. Yoast is an SEO plugin. Rank Math is another one that's enjoyed by many. Yoast has 10 million. I don't know if I have any strong opinions about these things, so I'm just going to install this one. I noticed duplicate post comes up. That's kind of interesting. So I installed that and I can activate it from here, and I will do so. Oh boy, first time configuration. When you install a plugin, it's going to do its own thing. Is it going to be that big full page thing, or possibly just like above this general area, there's going to be this big banner and you're like forever clicking X to close these things when you like it tidy. That's how it goes. Yeah, I'm not going to do this right now. I'm just getting out of this, the first time setup. But this plugin has all sorts of features and options that it does. It'll go through your pages, posts, and it helps you to optimize the SEO of your site. I don't like everything about this, but it does some things pretty cool. Now, when I click back on pages, I can see there's all sorts of annoying stoplight stuff and feathers and what is this one doing? Number of links, SEO snake oily stuff that actually does affect your search ranking. If I go up to screen options, I can actually turn some of these off. Oh, key phrases, I could turn that on. Yeah, I'm just going to turn them all off. I've never seen a site that actually uses all of that stuff. What I see used a ton, and I would install it just for this stuff. If I scroll now to the bottom of this page, I'll see some Yoast stuff in here. I could put a focus key phrase and it'll help score my page or post based on that. I've never personally done it. I do this part though, where we optimize the SEO title to be the right length that Google likes. And I'll edit the description here instead of letting it use the excerpt or the page thing. So I'll do one. I'll just type lorem. Now that's way too long, but it probably truncates on its own. I can see this orange bar at the bottom. I just changed it till it went green. Since it's not real content, it doesn't matter. I like that here I can set the schema of the page. We'll probably talk about this more in the future, but like if it's a contact page or FAQ, you're able to change the schema of the page to effectively tell a screen reader what it is. And then finally on social, I could curate the image and the description. I guess that's a premium feature now. It wasn't before. Okay, so I'll just update that, pretending that's what we wanted. If I go back to plugins, I'll now see stuff there. And this is get premium, finish your first time. That's the stuff that's also different on every plugin. And it just depends who made it. I'm going to turn on auto updates. I don't know if that's a popular opinion, but I like to keep the code up to date automatically. You're automatically getting the security fixes, automatically getting the freshest bugs too. You'll notice this plugin installed something up here too. Maybe there's a setting to turn that off. There sometimes is. But yeah, that's plugins. You can make your own plugins from scratch. You can make your own themes from scratch. We won't get into that right now. Okay, one last thing I want to show on the content side. I just discovered it is, here I am editing a page. I click on the tiny kebab menu here, go down to preferences, and here I can show hide other things. So like Yoast SEO, I could just hide that. And that would only affect me. If I come down here, I will also see, custom fields. I want to talk about that in a section. Okay, there's appearance blocks. Okay. I'm going to turn on custom fields. Oh, and I'm going to show and reload. A custom field is a piece of metadata that you can add to the page. So you can actually create the name of the metadata here, and you could create its value here. Now, there are all sorts of kind of examples of how you would use this. And it's basically the feature that was added to WordPress that other plugins built onto that allows you to take this from a blog platform to a full-on CMS. So like imagine this was a blog post and I'm taking content from another blog and putting it on here. Not plagiarizing, but like maybe I'm Sony Canada and there's a great blog post on Sony USA and it's relevant to put on my site. I might say article rel. I just made that term up. It's not magical or anything. And then here I would put like the original source of where the thing came from. So like Sony Canada or USA, I guess was my example. Whatever. I bet my picture in picture's in the way. Sorry. Sorry. Okay. Hopefully you can see this now. Now what I would have to do on my theme is I would have to edit it to say if there is any data in the custom field for article rel, let's make a link tag rel equals canonical with this URL. And that's going to tell search engines that this article is not an original. The original is over here. Don't penalize either of us for our SEO, but it actually builds links to make the SEO stronger. SEO is a little bit of snake oil. Nobody really knows what the scoring is, but that is actually the correct way to syndicate some content so that it helps everyone. I actually haven't done very much with custom fields from scratch in this way. I've always used a plugin called ACF or Advanced Custom Fields, and we will look at that at another time. There's a couple more concepts in WordPress that are really handy to understand as you get into making themes and templates. I'm on this article called Template Hierarchy. If I go into here, we're looking from left to right at the order of templates that might be used. From the left is very specific, to the right is the most general. Your theme might only have an index.php. That's the most general file. Every piece of content, page, post, media, custom post type, it would all use that page to render title, content, what have you. You can get way more specific though. So like singular page would be like about us. It would use this specific page template. You could also have like one for the front page. There's one for blog posts index page, 404, search results page, archive. Archives can be, I guess this isn't the most specific. More specific archives would be author, category, tag, post, custom post type. date, things like that. And then they can get even more specific, author dash nice name PHP. So would that be, I could make a, if my nice name, that's one of the fields in my profile, author-arley.php could be used to render my own custom about page. Category-slug, like the $ is the PHP variable. They're being clever there. Category-news.php would be the template file for the news category. And so on. So this, if you're trying to make a template for a piece of content, or you expect your blog post or, portfolio case study to look a certain way and it's not quite cooperating, you got to dig into this. And if you start with 2024 or something like that, they typically tend to have examples of all of this for you to sort of reverse engineer. Child themes is another really important concept to understand with WordPress. So take, for example, 2024. Let's say that was the theme you wanted to use, but you wanted to make a couple changes. You have some options. You could just make a copy of that, create your own repo, make changes, and call it something different so the updates don't clobber it. But there are advantages to using their thing and getting those updates. They might be security updates, or they might make the site faster. So instead of trying to keep parity, like, oh, they had this new feature, what 17 lines of code do I need? Oh, there's some on here and there's some over here and functions.php and what have you. What you can do instead is just make a child theme. And so then you make your child theme, you activate it, and it says the parent theme is 2024. And so when the site goes to get rendered for like a user, the server actually says, okay, I need the header.php file. Do you have one of those child theme? Yes, I do. And maybe there's some changes in it. Maybe you've made some modifications to the header. The server will use the child theme's header. Do you have a footer.php? I do not, says the child theme. So it'll just grab it from the parent. And in that way, any file that you have modified is in the child theme, and you will forever get the updates from Automatic in 2024 or in the parent theme. So that's just an awesome way to do things. And it is how we will be doing stuff with Live Canvas in a future video. The last thing that I want to plug in this section, pun actually not intended, is a plugin. So I will plug in this section a plugin. This is WPML, or WordPress Multilingual. It allows you to create sites in multiple languages. Am I going to get a screenshot? There's one particular thing that I want you to see. Yeah, that'll be good. Okay, so this is one of the more popular plugins for multilingual websites. I actually don't like it, as it's sort of evolved to be more of a translation thing, and it's not the most intuitive to set up, and it can get sort of frustrating when you're trying to create parity between English page to Spanish page. The language switcher should take you from one page to another. If it's about page from one to the other, sometimes they get out of sync. And so you'll have an about page in English and it's not referencing the one in Spanish. And it could just be clunky and hard to connect these things. I do hope to optimize a different workflow that's simpler in the future, because Live Canvas is going to simplify some stuff. But if you want to use WPML, it's one of the plugins that we could add. And what will happen is you will create some content. So here it's showing widgets, but you can imagine if this was a page and there's the page title. Over here, there'll be pluses with flags, and you can then click that plus and you would be creating the German page equivalent to the page that you had there. Or I believe that's the Spanish flag there. So that's a pretty amazing way to do it. Like, it is conceptually phenomenal. It is a pretty cool workflow. There are some clunky gotchas, and it can be easy to sort of make a mess with this specific one the way it is today, but hopefully that'll improve. Anyway, I feel like this has been a whirlwind, and I hope that this has helped you to understand a little bit more about how to get started with WordPress and how to Google things if you get stumped.